go in there and look, but we still, Johnny has the flag around, the Dixie flag around his microphone for Alabama, and we have a whole flag over the piano.
Lynyrd Skynyrd, the Southern rock legends currently riding off into the sunset on their farewell tour, is a far cry from the gritty, rebellious band that Ronnie Van Zant helmed in the Matsies. Once the epitome of Southern defiance and swagger, today's Skynyrd feels like a band that traded in its edge for a comfortable seat on the nostalgia train. Back in their heyday, Skynyrd wasn't just a band, they were an idea, an unapologetic voice of the New South, daring to rock their way through an era trying to reconcile its past. But, oh, how the mighty have mellowed. What began as a fiery blend of country, blues, and hard rock became, over time, a saga filled with reinvention, controversy, and more Confederate flag debates than a Civil War reenactment group. Let's rewind to that fateful October 20th, 1977. When a plane crash tragically claimed the lives of Van Zant, guitarist Steve Gaines, vocalist Cassie Gaines, and others, it seemed like the ultimate mic drop for a band so tied to the tumultuous spirit of the South. The crash wasn't just a tragedy, it was the punctuation mark on a story of a band that had somehow bottled the essence of the 70s South, a land caught between old habits and new horizons. But Lynyrd Skynyrd, as we all know, didn't stay gone. Oh no, they came back, and boy did they bring baggage. Contrary to what Sweet Home Alabama might have you believe, Lynyrd Skynyrd hailed from Jacksonville, Florida, a detail that somehow is overlooked as the fact that the song itself was more complicated than a simple Southern pride anthem. Sure, they sang about loving the governor of Alabama, but they also threw in some sarcastic boo-boo-boos for flavor. Context matters, folks. The same can't be said for the band's infamous flirtation with the Confederate flag, though. While they blamed their record label for pushing the stars and bars imagery in the 70s, let's not pretend the band didn't lean into it. T-shirts, mugs, belt buckles, Skynyrd was practically the unofficial merchandiser of Southern rebellion. That is, until 20, when they decided to retire the flag, mostly. Cue the fan outrage and a backpedaling Facebook post where guitarist Gary Rossington clarified they'd still use it occasionally, alongside the American flag, because we're all Americans now. Subtle, right? The original Skynyrd had layers. Ronnie Van Zant, the band's iconic and contradictory frontman, was a guy who wrote anti-gun anthems like Saturday Night Special while keeping a .22 pistol for hunting. He was progressive yet stubborn, a musical genius who may or may not have been a fan of George Wallace, Alabama's segregationist governor. Yeah, that George Wallace, it's messy, like much of the South's history, but that's what made the original Skynyrd so compelling. They didn't fit neatly into any narrative. They embodied the chaos of their time. Fast forward to the 21st century, and Skynyrd 2.0, or maybe 3.0, who's counting, is a different beast. Their 2009 song God and Guns is practically a love letter to conservative America, a far cry from the Ronnie era's more nuanced takes. This shift wasn't just a change in politics, it was a full-blown rebranding. Out went the rebellious New South, in came the traditionalist South, wrapped in a flag and humming Sweet Home Alabama like it's a second national anthem. Love them or hate them, Lynyrd Skynyrd's legacy is as much about cultural shifts as it is about killer guitar riffs. The band of the 1970s soundtracked a South that was trying, however imperfectly, to move forward. The Skynyrd of today? They're more of a monument to what was. A band that leans on its history, even as it complicates it. Sure, they'll never recapture the raw magic of pronounced Lynyrd Skynyrd or Second Helping, but maybe that's the point. They're a living time capsule, contradictions and all, showing us how much, or how little, has changed in the last 50 years. So as they bid farewell, performing in front of US flags instead of Confederate ones, we're left with a complicated legacy. Lynyrd Skynyrd isn't just a band, they're a mirror for the South itself. Messy, proud, contradictory, and utterly unforgettable.